Hi class, welcome. Today we are going to take our first look at using Open Broadcast Studio software, which is free software you'll be able to download to use to interact with other people while live streaming through Facebook, through YouTube, Twitch, whatever your platform. This will allow you to switch between multiple feeds. Say people are coming in via Skype or WebEx or whatever video chat platform, to switch between them live, to add in graphics, overlays, media sources for playback, opens, closes, overlays such as supers with names, to do all of these things while live. And I know this is not what we have planned to do for the remainder of the class, or at least one of the assignments in the class, but due to inability to get to the 360 cameras, and inability as well to be able to shoot anything further in the studios, I've had to take a different approach with this. And I figured, since right now we're all kind of stuck in a world where we're self-isolating, we're isolated from what we typically do and how we would typically do things, that perhaps right now being able to learn a new skill set that's still an emerging skill set that you might be able to apply right now while you're at home. You might find this handy, and it may be the modus operandum for who knows how long. But this is a skill set in an emerging field that has an increased need even as we speak. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to take this into consideration when you are addressing the different direction this course is taking. While you'll still be doing editing and practice exams for Premiere Pro, while I don't know for certain at this point you'll be able to take the certification exam, hopefully you'll be able to by summer, or maybe a makeup one in the fall at latest. That's my hope. But for now, while you'll continue doing your testing for that, and some editing assignments has already been assigned, as well as your book work, I'm going to take you all in a slightly different direction of broadcast services, remote broadcast services. So what you're going to need to do first and foremost is go to the web, however you like to search that up, via Chrome or Firefox, whatever, and you're going to search for OBS software, okay? Download for whatever one you're going to need, if you're on a PC or if you're on a Mac. So you're going to look for your Open Broadcast Software download. This is from obsproject.com. You're going to select that. You're going to open it up. You're going to go to, and you're going to find what you need. If it's Windows, if it's Mac, if it's Linux, whatever it is. And you're going to download it, okay? You go on Windows. We're going to download zip here. This is the full suite. This is 64-bit. If you need 32-bit, you'll do the download installer 32. You'll need to know on your computer if you're 64 or 32-bit. And you can find that out in your computer properties, information. It's going to be different on your Macs. On your PCs, it's under, sorry, you'll have to forgive me. I haven't done this in a little while. Under your About. So you go into your settings in Windows 10, go all the way to System. The first one, you go down to your About, select your About, and that should tell you about your system and your system type. In this case, I'm 64-bit operating system. So I would want the 64-bit. You would want the 32 if yours is a 32-bit operating system. For Mac users, it's going to be a little different. You'll select Mac and you'll use the installer. You don't have to worry about 32 or 64-bit. You'll download these, as aforementioned. And once you've got it downloaded, I usually put all my downloads in my downloads. I know that makes crazy sense. Do that. You're going to download it. save the download, and then once it's downloaded, you're going to install it by clicking it. Begin your install. Once you finished installing it, I've already obviously got it installed here, so I'm not going to do so again. But once you're installed, you'll need to open it. During the process of installation, they'll generally ask you if you would like to add a shortcut, which I have up here, as you can see. And this shortcut you can then click on, or you can go into your applications here, search for Open Broadcast, OBS Studio here, open it that way. And you're going to open it up, and when you first open it up, it's going to look kind of like this, except it's going to give you something down here that says Scene, not Introduction 1. This I'm calling, I changed it from Scene to Introduction 1. This is the first year introduction to Open Broadcast Software, or Studio software. This is a very fun, robust system. And for those of you who are actually really wanting to go all out into streaming, you can actually, if you have a Canon or a Nikon, you can very easily convert your camera into a webcam, as I've done here, which is why I have this clarity of shot here. Let me pull this to the foreground. And I'm using software known as SparkoCam, which is not free. Well, it is free, but it'll be watermarked if you don't have a paid-for version. I have the paid-for version. It only works with Canon and Nikon cameras to turn those into webcams. You can still do this with just your regular webcam if you have a webcam on your laptop, or if you have a standalone webcam for your PC or your Tower Mac, whatever. If you have neither, but you do have the ability, because you have a Canon or a Nikon, then go ahead and use that, and I can take you through that process in a separate video. Just let me know ahead of time if that's what you need to do or would like to do. As far as Sony and Panasonic mirrorless, at current, I do not know a way to do it, but I could do some more research and find out. There are a little trickier workarounds for turning into webcams, unless you have a video capture card. And if you have a video capture card, an external one, or you have one built into your computer, then you can use those to capture not just your video, but also your audio, and take a lot of the steps out. They're fairly inexpensive, under $200, if this is something you're interested in doing and you want to use Sony or Panasonic mirrorless cameras. So, going back over here to OBS, once it opens, you'll be here. First thing you're going to do, you'll have a scene. I'm going to go through the general window breakdown. You have your scene here. Oops, I did not mean to move my sources up there. All right, let's just pull our sources out, except they won't let me. Sorry guys, I did not mean to do that with my sources. Why are you giving me limited control? Because I should be able to float these windows here. Hold on a moment, I'm going to switch scenes real quick. That was not what I meant to do. And I cannot get my sources to come off, which they should be, and I'm wondering if that's due to something I did accidentally, not accidentally, but while running this through WebEx. So currently I'm running this through WebEx. So you guys are able to, so I'm able to record my screen without having an infinite record here. Let's go back to class instruction here. That's really obnoxious. Toolbars. I'm going to close it and reopen OBS real quick. Find out if here. Why? Are you doing this? There we go. I want my scenes before my sources. Hang on, y'all. We don't need that much space. So, sorry about that. So you can grab and move it from here. I guess I wasn't grabbing it close enough when I tried a minute ago to drag it off. I don't know. Whatever the case, you can grab any of these windows here and you can turn them into floating windows. Okay, it still won't let me. Okay, you grab the middle to float. I was grabbing the side, which wouldn't let me. So you have your scenes, which the first scene you're going to have is just a scene. You can right-click to rename it, whatever you want to name that scene. You have a profile. My current profile is called Up to the Minute Scenes Class Instruction. That's because I did not create a new profile. However, I found the profiles are not super helpful. They do store your settings modes, which I kind of like because I have my settings set for broadcast, which we'll go through those in a little bit once you've figured out the interface here. But your basic scenes, starting with instruction 1, which is what I changed this to, has within each scene a number of sources. Now, right now, the only source, I have no sources in there. But I'm going to go ahead and start adding sources. I'm going to start by adding my current web camera, which I'm getting and streaming through the aforementioned SparkoCam software. So to add this as a source, there's multiple ways I can do it. Because I have this window open, I can actually do a window capture and use that. I can also just use the SparkoCam camera as an option for video capture. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to add a new source. So down here, the little plus sign, add source under sources. And first, we're going to do it as a video capture device. And we're going to call this SparkoCam. Sparko. We'll just call it Sparko. And now you notice it already found my SparkoCam, right? So the interesting thing, though, is I'm not a fan of how it tends to look. Because you notice it brought it in, but it's seeing it as default a very small image up on the screen. We're going to hit OK. We're going to see the red bounding box around this. I can grab these and I can stretch it out to fill the frame, move it up, and there we go. But you notice it's not a real good resolution, is it? Even though in SparkoCam I'm running with 1920 by 780 on my resolution. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to delete this camera because I don't like how it looks. So we're going to hit the delete button with it selected. Do I want to remove it? Yes, I do. So alternatively, what I can do is I can add a new, and there is a way I found on accident, I'll be honest, a way to get a cleaner video source from the source from SparkoCam. But I still find it's easier to do a window capture. So select window capture. We're going to call this Sparky. Just give it a different name for the fun of it. And now you'll notice I have my camera. It's recognizing the SparkoCam here as the window I want. If I needed to change that to a different one, I could change it to Chrome. I can change it to any window I have open, including Premiere, which is how I'll be showing you later things in Premiere, or whatever, audio or Audition, Adobe Audition as well. Any window that you have open, not minimized. It can't be minimized or full screen. If it's either full screen or minimized to the taskbar toolbar, you will not be able to use it as a window that you can select. It has to be open, but not full screen. So I'm going to switch it over to SparkoCam here. The rest of these are fine. Now you'll notice there is, under window capture, there's capture cursor. And this is going to be specific for each individual source you add that is a window capture, as to whether you want to see that cursor or not. Now in this case, I don't want to see it because this would be my camera. There would be no point in you seeing my cursor over my camera at this point. So I'm going to turn capture cursor off and hit OK. And now what you're going to notice is I am not really in frame, right? Like I'm kind of, I got this other stuff in here, right? But you can't see my cursor, can you? So actually, I'm going to turn it back on because for this instance, because I'm instructing, I do want you to see the cursor. But all is not lost. If I need to get back into that menu, actually, you're seeing my cursor from WebEx, so actually I don't need to have that on. But if I do need to get back in here to change any of these settings or to change the source, I just double click on it and I can go back through. I can change that source if I want to, whatever. I can put the cursor capture back on, whatever I want there. So I'm going to hit OK, save that. But now I want to frame my shot up so that I fill the screen with just my captured shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to scale it up a bit, right? Then I'm going to move it over. And I'm just grabbing and clicking in the middle, like the hand typically does. It grabs and moves everything. It's kind of like that. Take a look here, and that's pretty close. I've got a little room. I could scale it down just a hair if I want to save a little resolution. I don't have a lot of room there, so there we go. So now I have myself framed in my shot. And you'll notice down here, there's an icon in which I can turn on and off this layer, this source. But I can also lock this source, which is very important because when you have sources stacked on top of each other, you might accidentally move or shift a lower, currently unseen source because it's not locked, even though you think you're trying to move one above it. So always lock when you're done and you have your shot in place where you want it to be. So now you'll notice in this shot, I have this really kind of fun background. It's keyed out, right? I can change this up. In OBS, I can do all kinds of fun stuff if I want. So let's jump over here. I'm going to go ahead and just for funsies here, I'm going to do a scene. I'm going to put myself in a rear view mirror like this. So you guys, hey, I'm looking back at you. That's right. Objects in here are closer than they appear. And I'm going to add just a face accessory because who doesn't want to wear some shades as they're going down the road? Yeah. The shades aren't really working too well in this shot, though. They're really not. Maybe I need these kind of. No, it just really doesn't want to work with my sunglasses, but that's okay. This is just a quick, fun thing that you can do in not OBS, but Sparkle Cam. We're gonna take off the scene, though. We don't want to do that. So we have an option to put a background video or still in OBS behind us. But let's say that you don't want to pay for OBS. Let's say you're not using OBS because you have a webcam already, or not OBS, but Sparkle Cam here. So say you want to do all this fun stuff, or some of this fun stuff, like key out a background, but you aren't using Sparkle Cam because that actually costs money to remove the watermark. It's a big watermark. So how do you do that in OBS, right? So we're going to go ahead in here. I'm going to turn the green screen off so you can see what I'm working with. This is my green screen behind me here. And you'll notice up in the corner up here, I've got some darker shadows. You'll notice behind me over here, in the bottom corner, there's definitely some darker shadows going on here. And I'm throwing shadows on the screen like this with me. So it's not a great green screen. It's not well lit. This was kind of hastily thrown together. But you could actually work around it in either Sparkle Cam or OBS to do your keying live, which is a lot of fun when you're going on Facebook and you've keyed out your background. So for example, if I go into OBS now, let me jump back here. Let me maximize my shot back to where it was. So this is the shot coming into OBS. So if I want to make this keyed here now, what I'm going to need to do is do that in OBS. So if I go to this layer and I right click on it, down near the bottom there's something called filters. Select filters. And now in here, I can add a filter at the bottom. There's nothing in there. I'm going to hit a plus sign here. What I'm going to look for is chroma key. Select chroma key and hit OK. And now, by default, you can see it already knocked out a background behind me. It did a decent job. And I can look at this gray up here to see if there's any areas that are troubled. Now, you'll notice there's a little green edging around me. Maybe you can see that. So what I can do is I can play around with these settings, and it's not too many, but it doesn't take much. But you'll notice, more importantly, some of you may not have a green screen. Maybe you're using a cloth, a bedspread of some sort. Maybe you've got a sheet of certain color and you're just throwing that behind you. Well, you can do that and key it out using, and it can be green, blue, magenta, or even a custom color, which you pick by selecting the color from here. So this is a definite option for you to consider if you want to key and you don't actually have a green screen. You can use any solid color behind you, but beware, certain colors will take issues because your complexion, if you go with a pink or an orange or a white even, it can mess with your complexion depending on your skin tone. So that's something to consider, but you can play around with different colors in the background behind you. And you don't need a lot of space. You know, this is a 6x6 popped up behind me, and I still have some room. I'm pretty much right up against it here. But I want you to experiment with whatever you have available and try and get your key. Use any light sources you have to try and minimize the shadows, just like you would anytime you're lighting the green screen like you did in class. Though you don't need much to be able to get a decent key, as I saw with these shadows going on here and corner up here. You know, I've got a lot of shadows going on. Now, I'm still throwing shadows from my arm here on the screen, as you can see. So we can try and do our, to take care of that by affecting our contrast. I'm just going to lighten this. I'm sorry, it wasn't our contrast. It's our similarity. Sorry, I've been using the other one so long. Our similarity. By increasing our similarity to drop some of those shadows out and get some of it. Get smooth my correction there, the key spill reduction there. Brought that up just a little bit. You want your opacity at 100, otherwise you're going to drop in the screen behind you, or you're going to, I should say, fade out and show what's behind you through you. You can affect your brightness and your gamma in here, actually, which is nice if you're coming out too bright or too much. I will say I found the controls in SparkleCam for keying a little more robust. You can actually get a better key. They've got softness and choking, things like that, things that are typical with color correction that you're going to want. But you can usually get a decent key just in here, I found. And it's a little more friendly to your edges, interestingly enough. But now what we want to do, once we have our key and close it, we want more than just this transparency down. It's all black, right? So what are we gonna add in here? Let's do a background. And this background can be anything. Let's say we want to do a video background. Now, video background is gonna end at something. It's a video, but we have the benefit of taking any video we add and looping it. So I'm going to add a video background. So to do that, I will add a new source under my sources window, go to media source, and we're going to call this key BG for our background for our keyed footage, right? So we're going to hit OK. Now it's going to bring this window up. It's a local file. We're going to browse for it. All these presets should be fine, except we're going to hit loop on this because we're going to want this video to loop so it doesn't stop and end with black behind us at some point if we're on screen for too long. So we're going to browse now, and we're going to look for a video to be our background. So I'm going to find a video. I have some stuff on my desktop I've been using for work, so we're going to find one of those. Let's see. Let's go into my remote work folder. Let's go in here. We're going to use this Watcher's video background. Okay, this is for a podcast I do for work. We're going to add that in. You'll notice it's not showing anything right now. It's gray. So we're asking ourselves, did we actually find the file? Does it work? Well, in all likelihood, it will, simply because your video hasn't become plain yet, so it's not showing anything in the properties window for the video. So we're going to hit OK. And now that, you'll notice, put directly above my camera, my window capture of my camera. So I'm going to just grab that, and just like you would in Timeline in Premiere or Photoshop, I'm going to drag it down beneath. So there we go. So now we have a background. Now the background doesn't quite look right, does it? You don't know quite what it's supposed to look like, but this shouldn't be cutting off like this, right? So if you look at the background, which is currently unlocked, I can grab this edge, shrink it down, scale it to size, and then scale it back up wherever, however I want it to be. Maybe I want it bigger than what it currently is. Maybe I want it smaller, and I want something else around here with like information, text, whatever. Just long and short though, we're just going to make this a background like so. Now, here's the thing. These are now two separate layers in here. And say I have another thing beneath these that I want to show. To show them, I'd have to turn off both of these eyeballs one at a time to show what was underneath, which is not optimal. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually select these two, holding the Shift key, selecting them both. We're going to right click, and we're going to group selected items. So when I group them, it'll say, do you want to name this group? Which you do. So I'm going to call this Nathan Heed Cam. Okay. And now what happens is I can collapse the group so it's a single layer, and I can turn the eyeball on and off. And now I can switch me on and off on camera. So that's the basics on setting up a keyed camera shot. If you're going with your webcam, you wouldn't be using the window capture. You'd be using your capture device, using your webcam as a selected, which would be, again, you'd add a layer, and that would be a video capture device, okay, your camera. So next off, now let's say you're doing this green screen, you're talking, you've got it keyed out, or maybe you don't have it keyed out, maybe you're just talking with it via webcam. Maybe the next thing you want to do is show people what you are watching. Now, before you can, I'm sorry, let me back up one step. We're not quite done with you, because we can see you, but we can't yet hear you, because you haven't set up your microphone. So in here, and we'll add it to this group, although you may or may not want to. Often I put the microphones on and I leave them on, and they stay at the bottom, because typically you want to keep those mics on. And if you don't, you're going to take them off over here in your mixer. So we're going to add your microphone before I go on to add any more sources of other people or other things. So we're going to add a source again. And this time we're going to add an audio input capture. And for this, we're going to call it Nathan Mike. Okay. Hit OK. And now it's got, by default, it's choosing my default microphone, which is the default microphone set up by my system, Windows, whatever one I have set as my default microphone input, that is, in my sound, which is my microphone, my Yeti stereo mic, which is what I'm using right here. Now, if I'm not sure what my default is, or I want to change it from my default, all I have to do is come to the drop-down and tell it specifically what I want to use. And I'm not gonna let default remain, because my computer, as it's done before, may decide to change what default is when I start a new program, because some of them are forced, such as Steam, Oculus, to change what the default is when they're turned on. And Windows doesn't necessarily turn it back off. It defaults to this new default. So rather than trust it to always do that for me, I'm going to tell it specifically what mic I want it to be. I don't like to keep any of these ever on default. So I'm going to put it on Yeti, my Yeti mic here. and hit OK. And as you can see now, there in the audio mixer, there is a Nathan mic, and you can see it is metering. It's capturing audio as we speak. We can go in and find out what audio the levels are here. If I say I need more levels, this isn't bad, and maybe I want a little more out of it. So if I want to push the gain and I don't want to use the controls on here to do so, I can actually hit the cog here, and you'll notice at the very bottom there is a advanced audio properties. So click that, and this will affect all your audio properties for all the audio in your mixer in this specific scene. It won't affect them in other scenes, just in this scene. So I'm going to select that, and you'll notice I have key background audio, of which there's no audio sources in my camera shot. Remember, the mic is in a separate one. I didn't group it with that. So there shouldn't be anything going on in there. However, under Nathan mic, you'll notice I'm in all these tracks. I recommend keeping at least similar tracks together, 1 and 2. I usually run all 6 tracks, or at least the first 2, and always have everything coming into those. I have had issues of not having all those checked, actually. I've been not capturing that audio before. So I just recommend at least 1 and 2 being there. If you want to hear on playback what something sounds like, which we'll do an example of that in a little bit, you'll need to go in here and monitor and output. So that means right now monitor's off. So I can't hear my mic coming back through here to monitor it while it's on. But if I want to monitor my mic and hear what I sound like, I can select it, and now I can hear my voice coming through the headset. And this way is not a bad test. I wouldn't leave it up. It might drive you nuts, but it's a good way to know if you're overmodulating when you're not looking. You can see that down at the meter down here. That's not overmodulating. But you can see here, you can kind of get a feel for the overall sound quality that you have coming through your mic. I do monitor show opens, videos that I roll, things like that, because I want to be able to hear for cues when I need to make transitions. So we're going to go back to monitor and output here. I'm going to turn it back to monitor off. So now it's just capturing the microphone, as you can see metering down here, but I'm not hearing it through my headset anymore. So I'm going to close that. So now that I have this set up, I have my shot, I have it keyed, I have a background, and I have audio for me. What's the next step? Well, that depends. What are we going to be doing in this thing? So let's say we're going to roll an open for this thing, right? Maybe it's a show of some sort. We have an opening. So we're going to go over here. We're going to add another scene. Okay. Let's get our open put in. So we're going to add a scene. We're going to call this show open. Maybe you're going to stream online, Facebook or something. You want to open up with a video of some sort, or open up with a graphic, whatever it is. Let's see. It's the me show, whatever. You're going to want to put that graphic in here. So we make a new thing called show open. That's what I'm calling it. I'm going to move it up above introduction, because the show open should happen before, well, you appear, right? Probably, maybe not. Maybe you start a you and you go to show open and you come back. However, whatever the case, I'm going to now go to my sources, and I'm going to add, let's add a video. We could do an image. We could do a still image, but we're going to do something with images in there. Let's say we're going to start with a video intro. So we're going to go to media source. This is how we add video. And then we're going to call this Nate Open. Okay. Once you have a name made, it remembers names across the board and won't let you name things the same name again. It's kind of weird, but whatever, because you can add existing ones this way. But we'll hit OK. Now again, this I could have on loop, but I want my opening video to conclude, right? So I'm going to browse to something. I'm going to find one that actually has, I don't have in here the watchers open in full, just the close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to something I do have that has a beginning, middle, and end for an intro for a show, which is going to be in here. And we're going to go to Video Assets. LOA Intro. And hit OK. Now this, as you can see, you notice it wasn't there at first. I had to jump off and jump back in. I found it does this sometimes. It's there, but you can't see it. If you jump to another scene, jump back, suddenly it's there. And this I need to scale back like so to get to fit. And now I have an open. Now you can see it's monitoring. I have audio coming out, but I can't hear it because I don't have monitor on, so I'm not monitoring. Now, I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear this through WebEx, because I'm not sure if you're getting the audio through here, but what I'm going to do is while this is doing this, I'm going to go to my advanced properties, and I'm going to turn my monitor and output, close, and now I'm going to turn the eyeball off for that clip, and when I turn it back on, it's going to restart it from the beginning. So here comes the intro. I don't know if you can hear this or not. But this will allow me to play the intro. And while that plays through, I can listen to it, monitor it. If I don't want it up so loud, I can turn that intro down. This would affect what the output is, though. This is not your monitor. This is the actual output audio that I just turned down. So it's there, and I can switch to this, and then my show cuts to me, and here I am talking to you. There's a fade between our black transition. So you can have your show open. And now let's also add in here, maybe we want to have another video or another image. Or perhaps we're going to pull up a window. So let's add a new source. Let's do a window capture. And we're going to call this, I'm just going to call this YouTube right now. Because I'll pull up something in YouTube. Now, be forewarned, if you're going to do something in YouTube, notice this came up with Sparko Cam, which is my current thing. What I want to do is I want to go to Chrome here, which is my browser, and that's okay. It says OBS, but what I'm going to be doing is going to a new window in Chrome. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to close these. I'm going to go to YouTube, just to give you guys something visually, an example of what I'm talking about here. And we'll just, we're going to click this here. Coronavirus thing. I'm going to make this a little bigger. I'm not going to go full screen with it though. But so we're going to just take this video and say we're going to run this in the background of what we're doing. So I'm going to come back over here. Now I can take that video, that YouTube video. I'm going to lock these other ones because I've locked them. My Nathan mic and my Nathan keyed cam. Which I want to move that key cam up. YouTube here is unlocked. So I can now take this clip and I can modify its size. And get it in frame like so. So now you'll notice this is playing, however, I don't hear it. So why can't I hear it? I don't have a desktop audio source that will allow me to capture this. At least not while I'm in WebEx. Because right now WebEx is taking that desktop audio from me. Typically, you can capture a source from your other medias, such as a media source like a video. However, if you're in an application, typically the audio is not going to be able to be captured in that way. So be forewarned if you're trying to share a video from something like YouTube. And you'll see the double cursor going on. This is because this window capture still has cursor on it. So if I wanted to shoot this, stream this, and show people what's going on, I want it to say capture that cursor. Then I would need that capture cursor on to share that through the stream. But in this case, we're not going to worry about that. So we now have that on. We're going to lock it since we're framing's good on here. We're going to turn it off. We're going to jump back over to me here. Hello, hello, hello. In my mic. I still hear this playing back over here, but that's because it's from my desktop audio. Now, if I have a desktop audio source selected, such as through something like Skype or WebEx, then I can hear what's going on my desktop. It'll capture all desktop audio that streams through here. Be forewarned, if you are monitoring, you'll get double that audio through. So monitor becomes dangerous if you're capturing your desktop audio. And you'll see that in your mixer as desktop audio, such as with, actually this is going to be your source open. So be forewarned in having your monitor open, because if you ever have a source that has desktop audio captured, such as this one here, you can end up capturing your desktop audio as it's going through. And that desktop audio, if you're monitoring your own audio through your headsets, is included in that audio, and you'll basically have an echo and a double of yourself. So be careful with that. I'm going to jump back over to the scene we were just in here. So now you have your camera set up. You've added a new source in here that you can switch between. And say you're ready to go. So you're starting to stream. You're going to share this stuff. And maybe you want to add maybe an image to this as well. You're going to share something, maybe some artwork you've been working on. Maybe some graphic design you've worked on. And you want to have this image to show as you talk about. Now, an image as well can be as an overlay, or it can fill the frame, however you set it up to work. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do both types here. I'm going to add an image. We're going to call this a CG. Okay. So maybe what I want to do here is have a super that comes on the bottom with my name on it, right? So I'm going to browse here. I'm going to see if I can find a still. I think I have some. I think I have one for the topic. So if I go to my remote work here, assets, topic. Let's try that one. I think, yeah, this works. We'll hit, this is fine. So the idea with this is, you know, it can function as a super. Instead, I want text on this, right? And I don't want to pre-create the text on this in Photoshop or something like that. I just want to have a blank one that I can put whatever text on. What I can do is I can come in here to the topic. I can now add another source. Not to the topic, but to this window right above it. I'm going to add another source, and that source this time will be text. And we're going to call this Nathan Super. Super is another term for CG or graphics superimposed. And now I'm going to select my font. Let's see if I can get Avenir. I'm a fan of Avenir. Let's go Avenir Heavy here. Black oblique. We'll just get black. This is black. Now we'll go heavy. Black's a little big. Okay. And we're going to type Nathan Hale. But now I'm going to take Nathan Hale. Okay. I'm not going to select the font size. I'm going to literally grab the font and shrink or scale it as need be to fit me onto my super. Right? And I may have additional options, text transforms, such as uppercase, lowercase, yada yada. I can do background colors on this. If I want to turn this into its own, I can outline it so it pops out from the background, although I would not want white for my color. I would probably want black. Okay, now I've got an outline. I can change the outline's opacity. Hit OK. So now I have an outline on there, and say I need more text than that because there's more text involved. So we're going to add some more here. We're going to add a second layer of text, and this is going to say Nate Super second line. Okay, and we're going to type in here HCC instructor, right? We're going to hit OK. And now we're going to scale this one down, just like we did the last. Grab the corner, drag it in. We're going to put it under here. This time we don't need to do a black outline for obvious reasons of it's already there, right? And now, the problem just like before. If I want to turn this CG on and off, because maybe I don't want it on when, say, I have the YouTube video on this other alternate source, which may be another person with their own CG. In order to turn this off easily, what I would want to do is, just like we did with my composited background and keyed video footage that you're seeing right now, what I would do is group it. Now, I have two ways to do this. I could add this to my pre-existing group, and so that my super is always on when I'm on. Or I can group it separately so that I don't always have to have the super on when I'm on, which is the way I would prefer to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these three, and I am going to group selected items. We're going to call this Nate CG. Now I'm going to move that above me. So if I do want to just always have it on, I just always have it on above my name. And if I don't, I just click it off. And now I don't have a super. But let's say I want to run the YouTube. I don't have to worry about that being on. It's just covered by the thing above it. Any questions? So Fridays, you guys are going to be able to reach out to me. I'm going to start a WebEx chat Friday nights, 6 to probably 8 or 9. I'll stay on the full time, but it depends on you guys. If you guys are on and you have questions, I will be on there with you, even if it runs past 10. I don't mind. I finding this actually a lot of fun. I'm hoping that you do too. I don't know. I know it's challenging. I know for me it has been extremely challenging. You guys are going to be racked with technical questions with this. And it's okay. Right now, learning has become challenging. Learning remotely, teaching remotely, and the world and the shape that it's in, the state that it's in, the ability to reach out like this is, and to communicate effectively, working remotely, so much more important than it has ever been in the history of humankind. And I feel like this is a skill that you may be able to take right now, get down, and use, and possibly use for profit from home. So I'm trying to give you tools that can help you to be productive in this new phase of humanity. And even though this pandemic, we have to hope will come to an end and have to assume at some point it will, the changes to our society on the whole are, we've never faced a time like this, certainly in our lives, and seldom in human history, that the shape of society will likely change to this degree. Not outside of massive wars have we will likely see the kind of change that will come from this. Expect the model of working from home and the necessity of working from home to become a new model going forward. So your ability to do things like this could very well shape your future and your employment in the future and your employability in the future. So I implore you to grasp this with both hands. It's a new direction for all of us. But I think, especially if you're at home right now and you're missing people, it is a great way to reach out and connect to others. And I'll get people on with calls with Skype. I can take you guys through that if you want to know the process. To stream on Facebook in group chats, to literally switch between people as you're talking on these group chats. Stream it while carrying on conversations with people, which is it's really a lot of fun. I was on Facebook the other day, and the comments were flying in, hundreds of comments, and it's just me. I wouldn't even switch with other people. I was just chatting, talking to people with as their chats came in, and some of you have played around with live, understand how much fun that can be. But now imagine that you're able to do playback of videos, of show images, to just interact more so than ever you were able to before in a live video, because you can incorporate this OBS, this free software here. You can literally perform little skits if you wanted. I mean, whatever. You're limited by your imagination. That's it. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. This will open doors for you. So this is going to end the first step. Although, let me do one last thing. To start streaming, in case some of you are gung-ho and really just want to get going. To start streaming, what you'll do is you'll hit start streaming here. But before that'll work, you have to go into your settings. And I'm going to go into settings in another video. Most of the default will work for you, but I'll go over in case you want to make some modifications and adjustments. But go into your settings button down here. Select that. That's going to pull this window up. The second window here is called Stream. And here you need to put a stream key. And a stream key is basically a directional embed URL code, if you will, that tells what you're going to be recording here, where to send it, where to live feed it to. So you have to get that stream key from the end destination. So let's say you're going to Facebook. If you come over here to, oops, I just kind of closed that there. So, So I hope that's still recording. Yes, it is. So unfortunately, it looks, I don't know why it's doing that. I should be online because it says I'm online, but right now internet's weird. Okay, I don't know why it was doing that. So go to your Facebook, okay? Under you, just like you're going to post, type, whatever, you just click in there. That is weird. What is going on with the net? So it could be that right now, even though I have very good internet, it could be that everybody's trying to be online right now, which has been a risk and a struggle for the internet. So unfortunately, I will talk you through it, but I won't be able to walk you through it right now. So what you would do is you'd go to Facebook Live. You'd select, like you're going to type in there, but rather than actually typing in there, you have options for more besides video and emojis or whatever it says in the bottom. You'd select more, and then you would choose live chat, live feed, go live, something like that. It takes you to a new page. And in that new page, there'll be an option to capture a stream key. However, the newest version, the absolute newest version of Facebook, is kind of difficult. So I often have to revert to the previous version because it hides the stream key just a little too well and wants to just use my webcam. Thank you. No, thank you, Facebook. And I've complained to them. Will they listen? Probably not. Who knows? Regardless, if you revert to the previous version, which it gives you an option to do, right at the top, there'll be two little blue buttons. One is where you already highlighted blue, is the one you'll be on. And the second one says connect. You'll select that one. It'll open up something. And down at the bottom, you'll have this long thing called a stream key. And it'll say, click to copy. You click that, copy it. It'll come back over into here. You will hit Control A or Command A on a Mac to select all of it. And then you'll hit Control V or Command V on a PC, on a Mac, to paste in the stream key you just copied, replacing this string of bullets here. Then you'll hit Apply, and then OK. And then you'll start streaming here. But that doesn't mean you're live yet on Facebook. Once you start streaming here, you got to give it some time on Facebook to catch up to the fact that you're streaming. It's not going to be looking for that stream. And there is a lag time, so it takes a little bit for it to realize that there's a stream. And once you see your stream appear over in Facebook, then you're clear to be able to hit the button that says Go Live, which will be, depending on which version you're using, the new or the old, will be either on one side of the screen or the other, but it'll be a big blue button that says Go Live. You won't be able to miss it. And once you click that, within a few seconds of doing that, you will go live on Facebook. But what people will be seeing is whatever you have in this window that you're broadcasting out in. And you can switch between it, show people different things as you go through. Turning on and off your CGs or whatever. Switching between multiple chatters, people chatting, video chatting in Skype or WebEx or whatever it is. And you really can have just a ton of fun with streaming, with connecting with people, but also producing professional quality programming remotely, because you can have people coming in via Skype, capturing their video shots, switching between them live, adding their supers, adding your opens, your closes, rolling commercials, all of these things, doing essentially remote broadcast live television from your home. Right now is a pretty impressive thing to be able to do. Now, there's some technical hoops you may have to jump through depending on your camera, depending on whether you're set up with a webcam or whether you're going to be using a DSLR of a Sony or a Panasonic mirrorless. There will be hoops. In the case of the last mentioned Sony Panasonic there, you're going to be looking at having to get some hardware that you may not already have. Those of you who are just trying to get through this and do this using pre-existing what you have, webcam and mic, the quality won't be as high, but you can certainly do it. And you can still do some really cool stuff just in the ability to add these other aspects onto it, your supers and your graphics, and you're switching to other shots live, which everybody else right now live on Facebook, they're not doing. They don't know how. So you can take your stream to a much higher level really quite simply and work on your production skills, your live broadcast skills, and really learn this new developing technology. And now's your chance to be a forerunner of that. So if you guys have questions, hit me up. As far as an assignment goes, I'm not giving a clear assignment on this yet. There will be, you will be doing a stream. Now, for some of you who may not like seeing themselves on this, you don't have to. You can find ways around that by actually incorporating some of your classmates or friends. The idea is you need someone talking, but nobody said it had to be you. You can have an image up, you can have whatever up, and you can talk over that, or under that, or however that, rather than it actually be your face up there. You can even create a little animation of a mouth that moves or something. So if you don't particularly want to be on screen, you don't have to be. But there will be certain things I'm looking for you to include in your stream for this project. And it'll need to incorporate at least a video, at least an image, at least a capture of a window or a webcam that's showing a person or similar. And again, you can just do this as like an interview. Maybe you're doing Space Goes Coast to Coast style, where you have a cartoon interviewing a real person remotely. Anyway, the idea here is to get your creative juices flowing. First off, we're just going to be worrying about getting the interface down and getting past some technical difficulties you're going to have in getting your stream up and running. And you can do test streams on Facebook where only you can see it, nobody else can. And you'll need to do probably a couple of those that you will then send your test recording, which you'll be able to record as well when you're streaming here, to me, so I can see your test example before you actually ever go live. At some point, you will want to go live on, I will want you to go live on a format, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Twitch, whether it's Facebook, whatever. And When I say you live, it may not be your voice. You may be technical directing other people's conversations that are coming in via Skype or whatever. Essentially, I want you to understand the back end of this, the production side. I'm not trying to turn everybody out there into a streaming star. If that's what you want, go for it. I'm trying to get you to understand the back end technical side so that when a star comes to you and says, make me a star or make me look good while streaming, you will have the skill set to be able to do that. Okay. Again, I look forward to seeing the really crazy ideas you guys come up with on fun things you can do with your streaming channel, so to speak. All right, that's going to do it for this first half. And we will worry about the next after that, and we'll go into the guts of the settings, and we'll even talk some about the studio mode, which will allow you to do previews prior to switching from one thing to the next. So you can do live previews, which is really where you want to end up with this. Although there are some tricks and traps in the studio mode I found, so we'll work that out later. All right, that's it for now. I hope you guys have enjoyed this so far. Get OBS downloaded and start playing around with it and see all the fun, cool stuff that you can do and come up with. And I look forward to eventually you guys sharing your streams with me. Thanks. That's going to do it for now.